All right, guys. Welcome to the Pitchfork podcast. Welcome to another episode, guys. We are back. I am loving it. And we're going to be doing some bad cop stories for you tonight. So, guys, if you like the stream, hit like button, hit share button. Make sure you let other people know that I run the streams for you guys. Now, with that being said, I'm going to be running these streams a little bit more frequent. But with that being said, I also will be posting a lot more videos so that I can record from these streams and show you guys the process of making the videos. Now, when you see the videos in the finished product, you're going to see a lot of jumping and that kind of stuff because that's just me editing to give you a better finished product. But you can see it live, me covering these stories, and much of these stories are being discovered when you discover them. So that means that I'm seeing it for the first time too. And there's a lot of mad oinking, a lot of swinery that's going around, and I want you guys to witness all of it. So with that being said, guys, follow me on YouTube, YouTube and TikTok, Twitch. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Facebook, guys. Follow me on every platform. It's very important that you do that. The more you do that, the more we spread the gospel of ACAB, guys. Let's get into the live stream. Let's get into the show. There's some... I'm going to let you read a headline real quick. And I want you to figure out the reason why this is going to be a story update. All right, I give enough time. Let's get into the show. Let me tell you the reason why this guy is exceptional. All right, so this story comes from Louisiana. And it comes from ktbs.com. It's about a Bossier police officer who has gotten 20 years in prison. Now, you might be asking, why is this man getting 20 years in prison? Well, let me go and answer answer that question for you. You see, this guy, I've already covered before. This guy's name is Terry Yetman. He's 40 years old, and he has been sentenced to 4 years on each of 5 counts of sexual abuse of animals, which was his canine dog. And those charges will run consecutive for a total of 20 years. And he also has to serve 20 years on 1 count of possession of CP, with that sentence running concurrent to the first one. He is also required to register as a sex offender. And I think that's a great idea. We must keep track of men like this. Because I've seen cases where you can't trust cops around kids. I mean, that's just business as fucking usual. That's just business as usual. However, when it comes to stuff like this, I've heard of hide your kids, hide your wife. In some cases, hide your husband, because we do have cops who abuse men too. But now you gotta hide Scooby-Doo as well. That is just unfucking real. And Blue Lives Matter, notice how donor operator Brandon Tatum, none of those people have made a single video about this story. Don't you find that to be a very strange thing? And now he pleaded guilty to this in August, so there's no question of his guilt. This man was found with pornographic images of a dog being abused, and also authorities say that he also engaged in sexual conduct with his dog. And in 2019, the CP charges were also added. So that lets you know that this man is a serial predator, because he preys on not only children but also animals. And they found all these images on his iCloud account and also on his iPhone. So there's no question, once again, of his guilt. And it's going to be very, very interesting if Blue Lives Matter or Brandon Tatum or donor operator makes a video about this. Because if they don't, shouldn't that make you very, very curious as to the reason why? It makes me curious. I want to know. I want to know I wanna know what turns you on. Y'all don't know nothing about that, man. Babyface. Let's get into some more stories, guys. We already covered that one there. This one here, it feels bad, man. That face right there, man. It just feels bad, man. It feels bad, man, doesn't it? That's the face of if you know you fucked up. That's the face you make when you know you have fucked up. Damn. God damn. Mm, 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 mm. I saw this headline. We're going to go over it in live time right here. We're going to go over it live. We're going to go slow, man. We're going to cover it in live time, though. Because this is where this one here was precious. The statements made. It's going to blow you away, man. It's mwah, delicious. Delicious. Fucking delicious. It's like Campbell's soup. Good, baby. So this story comes from Kentucky, and it comes from WDRB.com. A Shepherdsville police officer has resigned after being arrested for leaving the scene of a DUI crash. And as you might imagine, that is very illegal. And so this man was drinking and driving. And so 40-year-old Christopher Cowan decided to resign on Monday. And now, according to court documents, the incident took place before 11 p.m. Saturday, not far from the Corbin Arena, near the interchange between Interstate 75 and State Road 25 West. So, officers with the fire department were at the Corbin Speedway when they say they saw a black truck run a red light near the intersection of Arena Drive and Cumberland Falls Highway. The truck was traveling at a high rate of speed, according to the officers. A short time later, a firefighter saw the same truck back into a parked vehicle in the arena parking lot and leave the scene. The firefighter was able to get a description of the truck, a black Ram 1500 with a black and red Louisville registration plate. An officer with the Corbin Police Department found the truck in a nearby parking lot. And that's where the officer found 40-year-old Christopher Cowan. And so the officer said that when he walked up, he noticed that Cowan was kicking his truck and yelling at it. And that police say that he had trouble standing up, smelled like alcohol, and had slurred speech, with bloodshot and glassy eyes. And when he was asked if he was the driver of the vehicle who just hit that car, he confessed to being the driver. And while he was talking to police, he allegedly started walking to his truck saying that he was going to get his gun. And so he was immediately arrested and charged with second-degree disorderly conduct, first-degree operating a motor vehicle while under the influence of alcohol, and leaving the scene of an accident. And what I find even more insane and precious about this story is what Shepherdsville Police Chief Rick McCubbin said about Cowan. He said, quote, "I met with Sergeant Chris Cowan this morning regarding the incident over the weekend in Corbin, Kentucky. Sergeant Cowan resigned effective immediately. His candor, Sergeant Cowan resigned effective immediately. His candor was professional, and he chose to make the ethical, conscionable, and correct decision. I appreciate his years of service and wish him all the best, end quote. Wait a minute. If he was making ethical, conscionable, and correct decisions, then he would not even be in this damn position, right? I mean, call me crazy, but if I got a habit of making the correct choices, then I wouldn't leave the scene of a goddamn accident, would I? But once again, the standard has been set so low. The bar is so low for cops to the point where just being honest one time somehow makes you a good person. That's just precious. Precious. Just precious. I love it. I'm in love with stories like this. Stories like this, these warm my cuckles. It warms me up. It's like soup for the soul. Mwah! Christopher Cowan, I love you, sir. I love everything about you. Everything you stand for. Your facial expression, what you did. Your fucking police chief was a goddamn clown. I love you, sir. Mwah. God bless you. God bless you. Oh my God. Ah, man. Well, we straight out of frying pan right to the fire, huh? We got one from Alaska. We don't get many of these, man. We don't get many of these. I love it. I love it. I love the fact that we got to Alaska. I love it. I appreciate this. Because we don't cover many Alaska stories. So we got to make sure we cover this one. Got to make sure. Let me go in. Yeah, pop that out. Thank you very much. Let's get into it. So this story comes from Alaska. And it comes from the Anchorage Daily News. A Fairbanks police officer has been arrested on assault charges stemming from a July family gathering. And you know, my girlfriend once said that there's a very, very thin line between love and hate. And every day that I see police officer stories with domestic violence, I am always reminded that she is absolutely correct and that I should always listen to her. And so a police detective actually was arrested Friday on multiple assault charges related to a physical altercation that occurred at a family gathering in July, according to Alaska State Troopers. In the early hours of July 5th, troopers responded to reports of a domestic violence disturbance at a cabin on Harding Lake, south of Salcha. And so apparently, an off-duty Fairbanks police officer named Jarrett Butler, who was 36, of Fairbanks, assaulted an adult male family member, according to a report from the Alaska State Troopers on Saturday. And Butler caused serious injuries to the family member, because we are all used to what pigs do to other people, but especially the ones that they say that they love. Like my girlfriend said, a thin line between a love and hate, baby. And so he was placed on administrative leave on Friday afternoon and had been performing his usual duties up until then. And he has been a cop since August 2016 when he first joined the Fairbanks Police Department. It isn't clear why Butler wasn't charged in the case until November 26, nearly 5 months after the alleged assault. Which tells me that, you waited 5 months to charge someone when there's clearly a victim, and you just said, and I quote, there were serious injuries, and you waited 5 months. Man, that is a very strange thing. That is a head scratcher. And so his brother-in-law, who is Aaron Vogel, accused Butler of assaulting him and was taken to the hospital for his injuries. And so he was charged with assault in July related to the altercation. And online court records show that the case remains open against Vogel. Which is insane to me, because how do you charge the victim who was seriously injured but not the other person who wasn't apparently seriously injured and is a goddamn police officer? And this story shows you that, once again, people are held to one standard. The freaking citizens, the serfs, the working class are held to one to one damn standard. You know, and this story shows you, once again, the working class, the little guy, the serfs are held to one standard, while cops, pigs, the goddamn road pirates are held to a much lower standard. Unfucking real, man. You charge one man who was sent to the damn hospital, but the man who sent him there, he's free to go. If you still trust police officers at this point, even if one of them is your damn relative, I really don't know what you're doing with your goddamn life, man. Seriously. Wow. You charge the victim, not the perpetrator, huh? Swine gon' swine, right? Oinkity fucking oink. Oinkity fucking oink. This one here I've been waiting to cover. This one here I have been waiting to cover. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Kim Potter. Let's get into it, guys. So this story... So this story is actually an update from Minnesota. It's about Kimberly Potter and the murder of Daunte Wright, in my opinion. Because Kimberly Potter was a police officer who mistaked her taser for a gun. Because Kimberly Potter was the police officer who got her taser and her gun mixed up. And she was even heard saying, taser, taser, taser. And yet, for some reason, you don't hear a taser shock, you hear pow. And so she is now on trial for first and second degree manslaughter. And she goes on trial this week. Jury selection is set to begin Tuesday in the manslaughter trial of a former Minnesota police officer who fatally shot a black man while yelling taser during a traffic stop turned arrest earlier this year. Kim Potter is charged with first and second degree manslaughter in the death of Daunte Wright, 20 years old, on April 11th in the Minneapolis suburb of Brooklyn Center. Potter was a 26-year veteran of the Brooklyn Center Police Department, and the police chief resigned 2 days later. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison is prosecuting the case. Potter is being represented by attorneys Earl Gray and Paul Ng. Gray also represents a former Minneapolis police officer charged in the death of George Floyd and previously represented an officer who fatally shot Philando Castile during a traffic stop outside St. Paul. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump is representing Wright's family. The attorneys did not respond to requests for comment ahead of jury selection. And so, basically, to convict this woman, right, prosecutors must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Potter caused Wright's death while committing the misdemeanor offense of reckless handling or use of a firearm. And for second-degree manslaughter, prosecutors must prove Potter consciously took a chance of causing death or great bodily harm to Wright. That charge requires the prosecutors to prove culpable negligence, a conscious and disregard of a substantial and unjustifiable risk. And so basically, prosecutors have their work cut out for them. I think that they can get her on first degree manslaughter, maybe second degree, definitely. When it comes to certain wordage, and given how juries give deference over to police officers already, or even former cops, there's a chance that she might get lesser charges and that she might serve very, very little time. However, I want to believe that justice will be served in this case. Because if a parent leaves a child in the car, in a hot car, they are charged with a crime. There is no mercy given. If you were to shoot a police officer by accident, there will be no mercy given. So negligence of the law, or even negligence itself, has never been a damn defense. So Kim Potter should go away for a very long time, in my humble opinion. John Traverse says, John Traverse, or Traverse, I'm not sure how you say it. I'm thinking it's Traverse, but she'll get off. I hate to agree with you, man. I hate that. But qualified immunity and objective reasonableness, it will still apply because she was on duty. So civilly, I don't know if you can get her. Criminal, if they get her on the criminal charges, you can get her civilly too. But given how there has been previous cases of stuff like this, where tasers and guns have been confused and mixed up, there could be precedents already set. So that is interesting. I want to see this. This story is very fascinating. Wow. Wow. Interesting. That's interesting. That's fascinating. Yeah, I just wanted to cover that case. This was another one I want to cover here. Another one, sicko. The courts protect their own. Absolutely, you're right. You're not lying about that one. So let's get into this story here. This story comes from Missouri, and it comes from Ozarksfirst.com. A Howell County deputy working as a West Plains school resource officer has been charged with sodomy with the victim under the age of 14 years old. Deputy Rob Pilkington was arrested last week after allegations of sexually inappropriate behavior were reported to the sheriff's office. The allegations were forwarded to the Missouri Department of Social Services, and an investigation was conducted. Court documents say Pilkington had sexual relations with a 13-year-old child on November 24th. The next day, a representative with the Children's Advocacy Center spoke with the child about the incident. And apparently on November 25th, The Missouri State Highway Patrol interviewed Pilkington about the incident, and he admitted to having sexual contact with the victim. This man was a school resource officer at the South Fork. This man was a school resource officer at South Fork Elementary. And so this story shows you once again, just because someone has a badge and is a goddamn police officer doesn't mean they cannot be a predator. Oftentimes you will find that police officers are predators even more so than the freaking general public. Because people who want to prey on children and prey on the weak, they seek those positions of freaking power. And given how they're given qualified immunity, so much deference in court, how juries give them so much deference, lawyers, the news media, you name it, online commentators, these people will keep doing things like this and they'll keep getting a slap on the wrist. And there will be very little things that you can do about it as a freaking society, because if you're not going to put any pressure on police officers and also hiring standards for police officers to screen out these kind of people, which will require criticism from channels just like mine, well, then you might as well just give up on all cops and just come over to my side. Just give up on the freaking facade that there's a single good cop in this goddamn country. Because I keep covering stories like this over and over and over again. And I guarantee you that if I had a whole month where I'm covering where nothing but janitors are doing this to goddamn children, you would begin to think something about goddamn janitors, right? So why is it when it comes to police officers, they get special treatment? They get the hashtag whataboutism. Hashtag not all. It's only when it comes to cops, pigs, fucking road pirates, do you gotta say hashtag not all. It's okay to say all Comcast customer service is trash. You can say all DMV customer service is goddamn trash. You can say all lawyers are goddamn liars. All politicians are goddamn liars. You could say all Marine Corps guys are dumb. All Navy guys are gay. All Navy women are damn lesbians. You can generalize any other goddamn profession except for fucking cops. Why is that? You know what I think it is? I think people who like Blue Lives Matter, who support that movement, many of them are pedophiles. And just like cops, and just like pedophiles are drawn to police work, they also have their fans who support their behavior and perform several dog whistles if you just pay attention. Starbright 1984 says, not all cops. Well, too many of them, obviously. Absolutely. I agree. Wow, isn't it? Damn. I mean, Starbright, you gotta admit, every time you come here, right? Every time you come here, I show you a cop like this. I mean, doesn't it get to the point where it's like, okay, now, it can't be that many. It can't be that many. But yeah, it's that many. It's fucking unreal. This shit is wild, man. This shit is fucking wild, man. Oh, let's get into this story here. This one comes from ABC News. I'm gonna let you read that headline. I'm gonna be right back. I need a smoke real quick. Give me 5 minutes. Holy shit. Y'all, listen to me. I need to smoke real quick because I read that headline. I read that headline and I need to smoke real quick because I just Starbright. Let's get into this. Holy shit. Oh, man. Oh, man. So, let's get into this. So, this story comes from Missouri. And it comes from ABC News. A St. Louis police officer gets a short sentence in an attack on a colleague who turned out to be a black undercover police officer. And so apparently this man was playing a real life version of Grand Theft Auto / Call of Duty with friendly fire on. Oh my God. Oh shit. I'm sorry. Let me. Okay. A former St. Louis police officer convicted of beating a black undercover detective during a 2017 racial injustice protest has been sentenced to 1 year and 1 day in prison, a far more lenient sentence than prosecutors and the victim had hoped for. Well, you don't say. So, 37-year-old Dustin Boone was sentenced Monday in U.S. District Court after being convicted in June of a federal civil rights violation related to the attack on Luther Hall, who was an undercover police officer. And Boone was one of 5 white officers charged in the beating. And so apparently, Luther Hall experienced what so many of us as black men have experienced. And that is the NWord wake-up call. And so I won't use the actual N-word. I will use a word that is a stand-in for it. So Luther Hall had his ninja wake-up call when he discovered that just because you put on a badge, that doesn't stop you from being a damn nacho. And Luther Hall also discovered that back to blue stands for blue. It doesn't stand for Neptunes. All right? So Luther Hall discovered exactly the reason why people were outside in 2017 engaging in a racial injustice protest. Because Luther Hall had to experience his great ninja wake-up moment to understand what racial injustice looks like. And even now in the modern day, this badge-wearing nacho is discovering that he is still a nacho to a judge. So once again, this story goes to show you that there is not only no such thing as a good police officer, the ones who stay on duty are no different than black overseers during slavery time. Because the correlation is quite identical, wouldn't you say at this point? I mean, the irony of a black undercover detective being beaten by 5 white police officers at a racial injustice protest. That is just, mwah! The irony is just delicious. It's like Campbell's soup. Good, baby. So Luther Hall, I apologize to you, sir. That you had your great nacho wake-up moment. And as the great Paul Mooney would say, wake up, ninja. He had his great nigga wake-up moment. He had his great nigga wake-up moment. That is just... Mwah. That's my kitty. Go. Come on. Come on. Come on. The cat right there is trying to mess with me some. Go, cat. Thank you. I love that story. I'm in love with that story, aren't you? I love that story. Close this off. Where is that? Don't need that one. Where is that one story that I wanted to cover? Here's one that I wanted to cover here. This one was fucking crazy. This one is fucking wild. This one is crazy. It's I love it. When you hear about this, you're gonna understand why I say it's actually fucking crazy. Because it shows you what police officers are willing to do to silence someone. All right, check it out. This story comes from Iowa, and it comes from Iowa City Press Citizen. Quote, flexing power on a black man, end quote. Iowa City political leaders criticize police for arrest of TRC chair. So Mohammed Traore's arrest drew wide criticism of the Iowa City Police Department from city officials. Traore, who is the Iowa City Truth and Reconciliation Commission's chair, was arrested after a meeting November 4th at City Hall on a 2-year-old operating while intoxicated charge. Was arrested after a meeting November 4th at City Hall on a 2-year-old operating while intoxicated charge for which he hadn't served jail time for. The arrest comes as the temporary city commission tries to help address systemic racism and may make recommendations on how to reform the police department, and may make recommendations on how to reform the department. And so basically, in order to silence critics, they simply arrest their critics. They simply arrest their critics. And now you might say, well, he was charged with driving while under the influence. And I totally get that. But it's a 2-year-old charge that nobody cared about until now. Because they knew where that man was this entire time, given that he's a chair of the Iowa City Truth and Reconciliation Commission. And so reactions during the November 16th Iowa City Council meeting and the November 18th TRC meeting ranged from criticizing law enforcement to pointing out the obvious political implications of the arrest. Emails and arrest reports obtained by the Press Citizen from the Johnson County Sheriff's Office and the ICPD also give insight into why the arrest happened. And so, basically, they're trying to paint it as this wasn't premeditated. But you just so happened to arrest this man when you had 2 other years to do this? And so the Johnson County Sheriff, Brad Kunkel, said his office did not make any request to have Treyor arrested, and that he did not know why the warrant was never served sooner. The ICPD news release after Treyor's arrest acknowledged the warrant could have been addressed in a more private manner, removed from the context of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission meeting to avoid the message it sent to the community. So they admitted, hey, we kind of fucked up there. But if you could survive with this man not being behind bars for a whole 2 years, do not tell me you didn't understand the implications of arresting that man during that meeting. And now you're going to sit here and wonder why people don't like your asses? The nerve and the audacity of these goddamn pigs. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. You went 2 years and you arrested. All right. See, it's like certain conservatives are saying now. The pigs are earning their goddamn hate, aren't they? They are fucking earning it. They are earning their fucking hate. They earn it. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable, man. I tell you, I cover a lot of stories, and I love doing what I do. But I tell you, it does get exhausting. You know, it is a lot of work. And if you're going to go after police officers, you got several risks you're going to face. You're going to face ridicule from their families, their friends, and their supporters. Then there's an overlap with racists. You're going to deal with them too, bootlickers as well, Karens. And the other problem is you're going to have to deal with them trying to put warrants on you. They did it to fucking me. They did it to several other people. They did it to a lot of people. They will target you in family court. They will convince judges to go after you. Lawyers, everything. Remember, they touch every part of the goddamn system. So now you understand what a cop's wife goes through when she gets beaten. Let me run that down one more time. Some people don't understand what it's like to be a police officer's wife who's being beaten. Well, let me explain to you. Police officers have all the power in several scenarios, even in courts, in popular society, when it comes to propaganda on television, in movies, on internet series, even video games. And what you'll find is that over and over and over again, the power doesn't go towards victims of police violence. It goes towards the police itself, who are often the perpetrators and the predators. And so when it comes to police officers' wives, what they're going to face is even worse than the general public, because they are encouraged to be silent, because oftentimes some of those women, and most of them are women, they are encouraged to be silent because oftentimes the police officer is the main breadwinner. So not only are you going to report your husband, who could be the father of your children, but you could potentially lose your main breadwinner if you're a stay-at-home wife. The amount of pressure those women are facing has to be immense, because you're going to tell on someone who is guaranteed to have a gun on them. And you know for a fact that given how so many cops have gotten away with domestic violence, I mean, some of the worst crimes that fucking imaginable, including murder, well, you have to understand that those women are in a position that many of us cannot truly appreciate. Many of them are sleeping next to a goddamn murderer. Imagine being the woman who is sleeping next to a man who just gunned down someone who is unarmed. Imagine being the woman who is sleeping next to the cop who knows the other cops gunned down someone who was unarmed and said nothing or even fudged some records. Imagine being that woman knowing that. And knowing that if you ever said anything, that police officer who just killed someone just might kill you or your children. Because oftentimes when police officers are caught in domestic violence types of scenarios or child custody situations, or in scenarios of like child custody and family court, what you'll find is that you'll not only get murders, you'll get murder-suicides, and they'll kill the whole goddamn family. And they'll commit crimes against the whole family. I mean, it won't just be themselves or the freaking spouse. And so those women are under immense pressure to be silent. Many of them are trapped with a fucking monster. And what makes that even worse is that society praises these people and holds them up on a goddamn pedestal. So therefore, you are not only encouraging someone to be a monster, you're praising them for it, thus giving them a freaking dopamine boost so that when they go home and beat their wives, they will never feel like a piece of shit. Because, hey, they know that all they gotta do is put on their fucking uniform, go out and encounter that same woman, kill her, and that you'll say, hey, maybe she should have just complied. Call me crazy, but something about that is a little bit fucked up. And at one point, I didn't agree with the feminists about rape culture. But after I make this video, I'd be kind of crazy to not agree. Yikes. So that's a wild one. That's a wild one. That's a wild one, man. I gotta tell you, there's a lot of wild stuff that's going on right now. But I want to get into another video. I'm gonna freestyle something real quick for y'all. So the one thing that I'm tired of seeing as a content. So I watch content creators like Tim Pool and Brandon Tatum, Hexahammer 666, and all of them lie on Ahmaud Arbery, who was a black man who was just jogging through a Georgia neighborhood. He was blocks away from his damn house. And he was followed and murdered by 3 white men who have recently been convicted of murder. All 3 of them. And people like Tim Pool said that Ahmaud Arbery had a hammer. He was wearing boots. He was casing the freaking house. And basically, this all happened because Ahmaud Arbery walked through a new construction, which many of us do. I do it at least twice a week, on average. And there's video footage of white people doing the exact same thing, walking through that same new construction, and no white people followed them and gunned them down, right? But Tim Pool failed to mention that, and so that was all presented in court. The 3 men involved was Gregory, Travis McMichael, and also Roddy Bryant. And so one of those men was in the U.S. Coast Guard, and I know for a fact that the GBI, or Georgia Bureau of Investigations, said that on that man's social media page, we find that he once said that he was glad that he was in the Coast Guard because he was in a boat, and that there were no N-words around. We find out that one time when he was in the Coast Guard, he said that he was glad that he was on a boat because there were no N-words around. Now, given that he said that and then would go on to kill someone who is in fact black and he's in fact a white man, That seems pretty relevant, wouldn't you say? Well, Tim Pool didn't bring up any of that, right? Even though that information was publicly available on that man's social media pages before they were freaking deleted. But it was available through archive, which I also had. It was freely available. And Tim Pool kept lying to his damn fans over and over and over again. And mass downvoting videos that I made about Ahmaud Arbery. And his shitty ass fans were mass downvoting every video that I made about Ahmaud Arbery or anybody else who made a video about Ahmaud Arbery and calling it a goddamn murder. Even calling NWord, who is a black gun rights advocate, was mass downvoted and called a race baiter when the man's a fucking lawyer. And what amazes me about this is that there have been no apologies from Tim Pool, Brennan Tatum, or even Sticks, or any other right-wing commentator who lied about Ahmaud Arbery. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. Guys, that's going to be it for me tonight. Thank you guys for joining me. Starbright, let's see here. Says, yes, terrifying. I know how easily they kill. I'm so glad those men who killed him were convicted. What they did was beyond horrible. He should have just stayed in the damn boat and never come back to land. Absolutely. I agree with you. I love you. Mwah. Give you hugs, kisses. John Trevize, Starbright, 1984. April Biederman. Everybody who joined me tonight, thank you very much. Guys, be safe out there. Be kind to the needy. Be kind and giving to the needy, guys. Take care of them. Love them. Until next time, guys. Horns up. Peace out. Good night. And good luck.